Good afternoon, ma'am. How can I assist you today?
Good afternoon, officer. I'm here to report a theft.
Of course, please have a seat. Can you tell me what happened?
It's about my heirloom necklace, officer. It's gone missing from my house.
I see. When did you first notice it was missing?
Yesterday morning. I went to wear it for church, but it wasn't in its usual place.
Have you looked thoroughly around your house for it?
Oh, yes, officer. I've turned the place upside down. It's nowhere to be found.
Do you suspect anyone of stealing it?
Well, I hate to say it, but my neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, she's been eyeing it lately.
Mrs. Thompson? What makes you suspect her?
She's been acting strange lately, officer. Peeking through her curtains whenever I'm outside, asking too many questions about my jewelry.
I see. Do you have any proof that she might have taken it?
No, officer. But I have a feeling.
All right, Mrs. Jenkins. We'll look into this matter. Can you provide a description of the necklace? The conversation continues as they delve into details about the missing necklace. Mrs. Jenkins describes it vividly, recounting its sentimental value and unique design. Sergeant Johnson takes notes diligently. Thank you for the detailed description, Mrs. Jenkins. We'll do our best to recover your necklace. Now, about Mrs. Thompson. Do you know if she was home around the time of the theft?
Well, she's retired, officer. She's usually home most of the day.
Have you confronted her about your suspicions?
No, not yet. I wanted to come to you first.
That's understandable. It's best to let us handle the situation. Can you think of anyone else who might have had access to your house? The conversation shifts as they explore other potential suspects and scenarios. Mrs. Jenkins recounts interactions with other neighbors and acquaintances, trying to piece together any relevant information. Thank you for your cooperation, Mrs. Jenkins. We'll begin our investigation immediately. In the meantime, I advise you to secure your home and refrain from confronting Mrs. Thompson until we have more concrete evidence.
Thank you, officer. I appreciate your help.
As Mrs. Jenkins leaves the station, Sergeant Johnson gets to work, assigning officers to canvass the neighborhood and gather information. The investigation unfolds, leading to unexpected twists and turns. The conversation between Sergeant Johnson and Mrs. Jenkins serves as a foundation for unraveling the mystery behind the missing heirloom necklace. Hours pass as the investigation progresses. Sergeant Johnson receives updates from his team, piecing together clues and narrowing down potential suspects. Mrs. Jenkins anxiously waits for news, hoping for a resolution to the case. Finally, a breakthrough occurs as one of Sergeant Johnson's officers discovers a crucial piece of evidence linking the theft to an unexpected culprit. The perpetrator is apprehended, and the stolen necklace is recovered. Back at the police station, Sergeant Johnson calls Mrs. Jenkins to deliver the news. Mrs. Jenkins, I have good news. We've recovered your missing necklace.
Oh, thank goodness. Who took it?
It turns out it wasn't Mrs. Thompson, as you suspected. It was actually a teenager from the neighborhood who was looking for quick cash. We found your necklace pawned at a local shop.
I never would have suspected. I'm relieved it's been found. Thank you so much, officer.
You're welcome, Mrs. Jenkins. I'm glad we could resolve this matter for you. Is there anything else I can assist you with? The conversation continues as Sergeant Johnson provides Mrs. Jenkins with details about the perpetrator's arrest and the steps she can take to prevent future incidents. Mrs. Jenkins expresses her gratitude once more before bidding farewell.